So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 89 and in this video we continue with our exercise, and I created in our last video already functions and a placeholder, and in this video I will fill this placeholder. So, what I have done so far is I created here in the main this kind of functions which we have here. The first riddle was from an exercise which I done at the start, and now I use the same the same information what sits here. You can go right click and then go to definition, and then here you can see what we have done so far here. And I use the same thing here as a placeholder for my second riddle. You can see it here, but now I found a new riddle and we have to change that what we already had. And I used this one as a template. Not a template, this was the wrong term. As a I reuse the code what I have here, right? So, and I have to change it because I found the riddle which I have now is here. You can read it. Riddle: what has to be broken before you can use it? And this time it is not a number, because the first riddle we have here was asking what becomes smaller when you turn it upside down. And now I have to change it accordingly to this riddle question. So what I have to change is, first of all, instead of a number for player number 1, I have just to change this to a string probably, right? So because he must enter a string, but that is not necessarily true. Why? Because you can use again an option menu, which we have used also in one of these exercises, where you can say you can type a number in, and then based on the number you can associate this number with the solution what they want to give. But in this video I want not reuse this one. I want that player is entering a word, because let's try out different solutions, different ways, and so on. Let's get started. So for that reason I have to change this one to std string, and here of course we have to assign it with an empty, and the same goes here for the second player as well. And here we assign it also with an empty. So, and of course the solution here is also a string, because we accept here something. And I will write the solution here later, but just as a fun fact, what do you think this is? Riddle: what does to be broken before you can use it? It's not very difficult, but as a fun fact. And then we have of course changed here the instruction for the player on screen as well, which we did in the other exercise. So let's write here player number let's write here, write your answer. Same goes here, write your answer. So, and then we have now the next thing to change, which is they can't choose here a number, and this one is not possible anymore, because we have here, oh, that's not true actually. This one can still be possible, because if I think this is still possible. It's more important how do we write the number in, right? So, and yes, I think this is still possible. And the best way to see if this is still possible here is just to test it. We just test it, because we can make it work, but perhaps there is an easier way. So first of all, player number 1, enter your name, Coder, Superman, And we have here solve this riddle. Okay, they get both good points here. And the second is solve this riddle. Now let's say test. And let's say test here as well. And it says here, Coda, you are wrong. Superman, you are wrong. And of course, we have to write here test as well to test this. So I was wrong. So the next thing what we can change here is actually when we test it, you see it starts all time from top, right? And I don't want to go all time from top down. And if I have here some more functions to test them all. So the easy way what you can do is just deactivate the code when you test, and that's I'm going to do, which means just deactivate this function. With that, I have deactivated the whole block, the first riddle. Of course, keep in mind the points are not more accurate and so on, but we are not testing the points here. We are just testing the content here in it, which is the where the points are not included here. So this points we are not testing. That we will test later when we come to this point. Let's start this one more time to see now if it's working, and now if we are skipping. Okay, this one we need. That was our start point with the name, but now you see we are directly jumping to the point where what we want test, and this is very good. So let's see what happens if I write test here, and you see it is working. That means we can go, and actually that's it for this function. So let's reactivate our code here, and let's create one more riddle. And for this riddle, which I have here down, that was again a placeholder. Let's do this here. Uncomment. Right? You know how to uncomment by now, I hope. Right. So on Visual Studio is Control key and then U for uncommenting. And if you want comment, just Control key and then C. Control C. Yeah, with that said, let's try to solve this one as well. So here I have not used the placeholder, which I'm going probably to use, but before I use it, let's read it if I can use it. It says here, I'm tall when I'm young and I'm short when I'm old, what I am. So it's again a word. So with literally we can go and say we are do the same thing one more time. So what I mean with one more time is we go to this here, what we did here. It's again with strings because they are going to answer this one. Or we are using now again this solution mode. But I think if they are just writing in, it's easier for us. All right. I think that's very easy. And we are reusing the code. So select all again. Nice. And copy. And we are going down. We are just pasting in. And careful, all time when you paste, all time careful. This one we cut out. And you see, I just replace it here. Actually till here. Let's go this one in. And yeah, and here just for test purposes again, test if this is possible, and it should be possible. Important note here is you see I declare here all time this string because they are local. I can do this, right? That's also very important here to note. And let's see if this is working again. I want before we can test this one here, I have activate this one again here in forward declaration because I have not riddle free. Oh, I have it. That's good. That was wrong because I have it. That's nice. I thought I have it not. And let's change here some positions. You can see this one belongs actually here and this one here. So oops. So all works fine. And let's test this. But again, if I want test This one let's change here too, because this one is not here. Again, deactivating the code, and this time I deactivate this both code because I don't need them. Control key and Control C for commenting. Control C. Okay, save and test. And I hope it will work. And something strange happens. Okay. We have here a problem. What's that? One more time. I don't know what this was actually. But still. Let's test this. I don't know. Player number 1, coder. Okay. And then player number 2, Superman. And then we have I am anyhow any strange names here. I have copied this one here from the web, and I'm not sure why I have here strange A, but whatever. Let's write test, and it worked for our purpose. Let's check this out first, why it's so strange. I'm all right. This one is probably I'm not sure. Probably with the translation problem. This sign here is not translated right because of the code of the ASCII code or the UTF code. It has not included this one here, so we ignore this one for now because we have to do other things. So I have created some riddles, and now I want also test the points, of course. Control K, uncomment again. I have the point system should be working. Let's see. They are just adding 10 points, and we have tested this, and this one I assume it's working because it's all time the same. So in this case I even don't test this. I test this later when I come to this point with the result. But there was one more thing what we can do. So let's define our next step that we can do right now. So I have this point system, right? So the point system here, the result of the game is called here. Let's press here again, control, and then go to definition. So we train this, oops, not this one. What I did. Control, go to definition. What's going on? Here is this one. Go to definition, and here is our definition just for check. So we see we are doing actually here nothing, almost nothing, just printing out our points here, and we want to here something more special. And what I mean with that is based on the points we want to give here perhaps special screen informations. Right, for example, if the player reaches reach a point over 50, we say congratulations. If you reach a point over, let's say, 80 or 90, or make a full score, we say absolute perfect score, congratulations with perfect score, or something like that. Yeah, that is so my more or less plan for this block here, and let's write this as a plan for this block perhaps, so it makes more easy to think. So right, well, I think that's still so small that we don't need this. I just solved this. So let's go how we are going to solve this. So my goal is just make two different outputs, one congratulation and then the score like here. And then the second is if he gets a full score, congratulations with a full score. How we can solve this? And we already know this. We can make this, for example, with if. That's the simplest way in this case because we are comparing only two conditions. So this for two conditions, if is good. But if we would go for more conditions, for example, you say there are other conditions, 0 point you can say if the player got 0 points, then you can make a message like, too bad you got 0 points, but don't give up and try next time better, something like that. Then we have more conditions, and more conditions. It's still possible with if, of course, but then the case would be more favorable, right? So what we do is we use here a case, a switch statement. So because I want to train switch a little bit, and switch and if are transfer, you can transfer a if to a switch and a switch to a if. Yes, so let's start it. In this case I start with a switch, because we have here already talked about ifs. I have reused if statements here, so we know how to use a if. But let's try a switch here. Let's go it. Okay, switch. Yeah, when I write it right, switch, and then the condition. We are writing now here the condition, but let's let this open for now. Then we write our blocks, then we write our case, and we have to make here this condition will be points. So with other words, will be a value, and the value will be integer probably in my case, because the points which I have on top are int values. So based on int values, we will make this one, and then the cases as well. So how we can make this now? What we have to do now here, first of all, we have to create, of course, variables. The question is, do I need this variable global or local? In this case, local, I would say, because yeah, local, because depends on the points which comes in, I will choose, right? And let's do this. So let's write here points. Let's find a good name. Points for player number 1. And of course we have to distinguish again player number 1 and player number 2. So the switch case statement will be wrapped in an if statement, because if it's player 1, then I use this switch. If it's player number 2, I use this one. This is one possible solution, but of course there are different kinds. And because this comes in my mind first, I just do it. So I wrap this switch statement in if statement. If, let's write player, or we can, yes. Or we can solve this another way, because we have just to put this anyway out for both. We can write, I think we make this later. We solve this later, because there are perhaps a better way than an if statement here, or an easier way, because I tried an easier way. Let's go and write just switch. Let's write this condition, and then we go on. So what we have to do is now for player number 1, let's start with him first and say switch player number 1. And then we can use this points for player number 1, right? We can use this one here. And here I make a local variable for this one. So I write here int points for player number 1. And what I said was never try to avoid the same name, even this one will be used here. So we have to create here, it's better to create here another name. For example, here in this one I just copied this one, and here I say, okay, because it was more copy paste and I know this is local, it will be not break any code as long as it is local. And that's why I know it, that I can use it, and to not waste time, I say I keep it. But here at this point it's a little bit different. I know this one I create right now, I can create this one here the same, and I know it will not break the code. But if you are doing this one, just write another name, because if it's not the same name, it's much more safe because it's unique and you know this one belongs only here at this point, and you don't think too much at the later. So that's why we will use here a unique name. So points for player number 1, 1 for result. Result. That's a very long name, but yes. And here again, we write this one and this one. Here, I copy now this one and put it here in this condition because we learned this switch statement will react of this value, and then I write here case. Let's say 0. I want only 3 cases, 0. And I have here 1, 2, 3 riddles now. Let's say 0, max 30, and in between we say only congratulation, and so on. Yeah, let's go it. Okay, case 0, I say I will print something out, and again I use this this brackets, curly brackets, to indicate a local body for this one. And let's write all the cases here perhaps. So the next case would be, let's say something. The problem is we have points in between. We have here 30, yeah, so 10, 20 and 30, right? So we need cover the case 10. So 10. Then we need cover the case 20. This is a little bit tricky, but easy to solve. And we need cover here the case 30. Case 30. So, and a default, normally you can set, of course, here a default as well if you are interested, but I don't think we need, but just let's write just a default in case something goes wrong. Who knows? So now I have a switch statement with the points, and that looks very good. And now I need just the output. The output is very simple. That was for player number 2. Let's copy this one here. Let's put it in. We paste this one here, and it says here name player number 1, because we are talking here about player number 1, and then the points for number player 1. This is okay, but we need a little bit more, make it more accurate, because here it is 0, right? So we can't use here this one. We delete this one here, and instead we say name player number 1. He got 0 points. So actually that was wrong for me. Let me control CC, control CC. And yeah, that was wrong for me. Sorry. We can of course use this one here. Points from number player 1. It's all fine. The point is we have just add here a text which is says try. Let's make here space for formatting. Try. Don't give up. Let's make an encouraging text. Don't give up. Next time it will work, or something like don't give up. Next time it will be better, or something like that. Better. Okay, and then we have here, perhaps let's make it here. So, and we see a problem here, and the problem is you should not do this one this way. Let's do it this way. So nice. Okay, that is our first text, and now I just copy this one here, and then I paste this one here, and I can't use this one here. Let's write here another text. Let's write here way to go. Good, but it can be better. Don't give up. Try harder or something like that. Don't give up. And let's copy this one, what I have here done. That's not good. It was so. And let's copy this one here as well. Copy. And here I say use the same, and here let's make this one more time. Copy. And try this one here and say perfect score. Very good. And here we say perfect score. Amazing, something like that. So, and default here I let it open because I write here just something wrong went wrong. Let's go for this one as well, and right here copy this one, paste this one, and we write here just something went wrong. Some error, because this is an error here. This default state should not come, and this is just an indicator that it should not happen. That is an indicator more for the programmer. And let's continue a little bit. I'm not finished here, right? Because you see, I forgot here something very important. Actually, it is the break statement, right? So, but the problem is I want not set all places a break statement in this case. Why? Because here I want set a break. Oops. Now come on. Here I want set a break because after this 0 it's finished. But after this one, yeah, we can set a break too. Actually, I thought I can catch it both states, but this will not work really. Let's set all time breaks as well. Break. And then we set here we don't need a break. So, and we are finished with our first switch. So, and let's see, this one we can delete. And we have now used a switch, and we have to go a little bit more further, which means I need the same thing for player 2, right? That was just player 1. So let's copy just the switch here. Copy. I paste it. And here I have just to change here the old time yes. Just let's make this one so. And just here the variable numbers, very important here, points for player 2 and so on. But the text and all other things are the same. You see, I reuse the code all time with copy paste and avoid typing much. That's very handy. If you can do this, then do it, because it is not all time possible. That's the problem. So, and with that said, we have now the second switch here. Perfect. And now I have another problem. Because here I have the points for this player, and here I need a points for the second player, right? So let's create here also a local variable and write points for player number 2 for result, also start point 0. This will make us a little bit problems later, but we will solve that in a moment after I finished to set up this one. What I mean with this is, at this point we can't get 0 we can't use this 0 here, right? We need actually this one here on top. And yeah, we will solve this in a different way. That's why I created these variables, because there is an easier way. Just use this global variables from top. But before we do this, let's finish this one here. We have here a problem. And what is the problem here? The problem here is I must assign now this created variables to the right switch, right? And of course, that was a mistake from me. It's very easy. I have just to write here the 2 Why is this not working? That was strange because I thought I just write here this one. Points for player number. Alright, I see I wrote here something strange. Okay, number. Now it's working. Now it's fine. And that was this one. So now we have assigned this one. And good. The next thing is now they are using the right points. But why I'm not using just this global variables here is the question. Because if I use this one, actually the switch statement are using these global variables here. It's much easier. The reason for that is I made this intentionally to make it more complicated. And yeah, a little bit. The reason for that is I want actually replace this one here, just for demonstration purposes, with our parameter which we will write here, which means this call will need, let's say this call from here will need arguments. This arguments will be this points here, and this definition here will use this parameters here, will use this values and will give it to this point, and then the switch will use it. So you see, I make it absolute unnecessarily complicated, but I want to test also the return, not the return in this one, the function with parameters and arguments, so that we repeat this one as well. So let's get into it. So what I will need is I need send values to this function, and how I'm sending from this point to this point values with arguments. Arguments you write here, and the parameters you have to write in the definition. So we change the function to a function with parameters. Parameters means just I write here some parameters. In this case, it's int, two ints actually, int. This one here, points for player number 1. Copy this one and I paste this one here, and I do this one more time. Int points for player 2 result. Copy this one here. So you see, I make it a little bit more complicated than it should be, but that's not a big deal. And then I can use this one later here, here in my point. So which means actually, yeah, let's continue. We still need this one. And the problem is now this one is connected to this one, and when I have this one, it's not connected to this one. You see, we have here a problem. What is here the problem? Can you think about it? It is a redeclaration, right? This one is a declaration. This one is also a declaration. So this one is not connected. You can see when I click on it, it's highlighted only with this one, not with this one. So, but I wanted that this one is giving it here, and then I want to use this one. But actually, when we show a little bit more careful, you can see this one is it's even better, right? So because now I give just this one here, and this is using it directly here in my switch statement. And yeah, so with other words, this one we don't need, right? I get rid of this declaration now, but I have another problem here. So what is the other problem here? The other problem is actually I changed the, before we go to the other problem, let's check this one. If this one is also working, you can see this one is also connected. That's very nice. So, but what is the problem here? I changed, of course, the definition, right? Now we have parameters, which means we have to change this call here. And this time, remember it again, function calls are without without a declaration, just variables. In this case, I need the variable names of this one because I want to use this one. I want to use this numbers here at this point. So here I use this global variables, but let's do this. And the order is here a little bit important. Copy, because let's see here, paste, because the first one, right, we can see the first one will go to the first here, and the second one will go to the second one. So this is also very important to keep in mind when you call it, that you call it right, the order. So let's do this one, copy here and paste here. And we have one more problem here besides this arrow which is showing here. It is the forward declaration, which means I have just to take this one here. Actually, this is the definition, but until this point is the forward would be a declaration, right? So with other words, the forward declaration which I have here here is just replaced by this one, and now this should be make no problem so far. And yeah, let's test it. So we have to test our code if it's working anyhow. Perhaps it has mistakes, and yeah, let's test it. Perhaps I messed up anywhere. And go there. And let's say Superman. And let's say 9. Okay. Solve this riddle. I say here test. And I write here what I am. No clue. And we have a problem, right? So here I had a problem. So I made something wrong here at this point. This is okay. And then the next thing is, okay, the output is the same. That's okay. That was right. And the problem was why it's here a problem. And I think I stop here this video because it's already long. And in the next video I will solve this. It's very easy to solve, and because it's not a big problem, but it's important to solve such kind of problems. And I hope you have a much better program than me, but you can see here I try to repeat much of these functions, right? And here I changed it now to a function with parameters, and later I will introduce also a function with a return function, and then I will again use many keywords, many things what we learned. For example, here I tried reuse the switch statement instead of if, and think about it, we can use all time if and switch. Later I will include here some loops, some arrays, some, yeah, many things will include it here. But yeah, I hope that you try this too. Just try it. Don't worry about mistakes. Just do it and learn to use this kind of keywords and the combinations, and make arrows. With arrows you learn more, because if you solve these arrows, then that is called making experience to solve arrows, and later you don't make these arrows, perhaps other arrows, but that's normal. Just solve it. That's important. And in the end, when your program is running, that is successful, that is the goal, and that's perfect. So with that said, if you have any questions, any complaints, just write it in the comments, and see you in the next. Bye.